For most of my life, I've measured whether my work mattered by one thing. Did it leave a mark? Did it make an impact? Not whether I loved making it, not whether it made my days feel like mine, but whether it landed, whether people saw it, and whether it counted for something out there in the world where I could point to it. So before I tell you what a small book did to that idea, I want to ask you something, and I want you to actually sit with this question. What does success mean to you? Hold on to your answer, because mine started falling apart as I read this book, and I'm still picking up the pieces. I'm currently in Act 2 of my third manuscript, and I set a deadline for myself to finish this draft originally by the end of March, shifted that to the end of June, and I've missed it. And now I've added more accountability to the process, also by writing the draft on live streams every Sunday until this draft is done. So I'm in it. I'm deep in the hardest stretch of a hard draft, and somewhere in the middle of pushing through, I realized I'd lost what I was pushing for. This isn't a book review. This is what happened when I read Austin Kleon's Keep Going. At the exact moment, I needed someone to ask me what success actually means and make me challenge my own answer to that. There's a line in this book that I still haven't made peace with, where Kleon says, stop trying to leave your mark and replace it with something quieter, something that on paper sounds gentler, kinder, and better, but my gut reaction was to push back on that hard. I'll tell you what that line is and why I'm still arguing with it by the end of this video, but first I need to take you back to the moment where this whole thing cracked open. Quick context, Austin Kleon writes books about the creative life, books like Steal Like an Artist or Show Your Work, and this one, Keep Going. He also has a new one that just came out called Don't Call It Art. They're really short, they're really small, and you can just read one in an afternoon. I've had this book on my shelf for like over a year, and I picked it up now specifically because I didn't need a book about starting. I didn't need a book about finishing. I'm not there yet. I needed something about the middle, the part that nobody romanticizes and the part where you're just trying to stay alive, trying to keep going. That's where I was when I opened it, and I definitely found very, very different things from what I was expecting. There's a chapter, it's chapter 4, where Kleon talks about making gifts of the things that you create. And he says, where there is no gift, there is no art. Make things to give, not to sell. Be generous and ignore the numbers. And it stopped me because it made me ask a question. It made me ask, what does success actually look like to me? So I journaled on that. And my answer came out as a complete and total mess. I want financial and time freedom, enough so that my days look the way I want them to. I want to make an impact. I want my writing and my work to reach people. I want recognition, admiration, validation. I want to be accepted by the people around me and be able to point at something and say, hey, I made that and it mattered. For example, I caught myself assessing the value of a video I made based on the views and comments and forgetting that this whole project is something I do for love, to help people and to share my experiences and help others along with their journey. And yeah, I'm aware of how even that desire is part of this whole mess when I'm saying this out loud. And then I realized that pretty much every single thing on that list was external. Not one of them was because I loved making it or because it was fun. Not one of these things was about the work itself. And that's really uncomfortable for me to say out loud, but I'm saying it because I don't think I'm the only one whose definition of success has somehow quietly become a list of things that other people have to give them. It's transformed from something you do for yourself to something that you need from someone else. So is your list full of external things too? Be honest with yourself. Kleon has this line where he says, you don't have to have an extraordinary life to make extraordinary work. Everything you need is already in your ordinary day. You just have to pay attention to it. And then he says, slow down. We live in a move faster, produce faster, succeed faster kind of world, and I'm so good at speeding up. My deadline pressure, for example, faster, finish it, prove it, do it, get it done, move on. And I've even caught myself listening to lectures, for example, on YouTube by authors who I adore and playing them at 2 times or 2.5 times speed simply because it was a long video. So hold on a minute. Why am I rushing through something that's giving me value, something that's making an impression on me, something that's making me feel so much, just to move on to the next thing that may or may not have the same impact? See, that's that word again, impact. Kleon talks about people who spend a full hour looking at a single painting in a gallery. 1 hour, when painting, and how drawing something forces you to actually look at what's in front of you, because most of us are just walking around so wrapped up in memories and rumination and worry that we never actually look at what's right there. And I realized that I've been trying to finish this manuscript so quickly that I've stopped seeing what it needs. I've stopped paying attention to the actual book in favor of the deadline attached to it. So maybe slowing down isn't an obstacle to the work. Maybe it's turning it into something more deliberate. And here's where Kleon and I start to disagree, because he doesn't just name the problem, he hands your replacement a whole new way to think about it. And at first, I read it and I dug my heels in, the way you do with advice that is probably right, but that you don't want to hear. So here's the bit I'm struggling with. Kleon takes all those loud, creative slogans, things like make your mark, put a dent in the universe, move fast and break things, and he offers a replacement. Do no harm. Leave things better than you found them. And reading it felt like relief at first. And then I dug my heels in, because leave your mark isn't just a slogan to me. It's the whole point. It's the why I write. It's why I create. It's what success has meant for me for my entire life. And here's the small, teeny tiny book, this tiny thing that's very gently asking me to put that down. And I'm still hating that. I'm not ready to accept it. I keep seeing making an impact and leaving the world better than we found it as two sides of the same coin. And I'm not quite sure who's right on this one, or if they are the same thing in a way. So for now, here's how I'm holding this duality. Kleon isn't telling me to stop wanting what I create to matter. He's pointing at something underneath it. What if the mark isn't the goal? What if the mark is the consequence? So what if you focus on growth, on doing what you love and doing the work well and leaving things a little better than you found them? And then the impact happens as a side effect of that instead of being the thing you chase. In one of the 10 chapters of this little book, Kleon says that art is worth making even if the only life it makes better is your own. And in another chapter, he says that success is measured in things that can't be counted. Because as he says, not everything that counts can be counted. I find this unsettling, but at the same time, when I look at it, it's already how I choose to live my days, and maybe it's how you choose to live your days too in practice. In my case, I'm growing herbs on my balcony just to make my own dishes taste a little bit more flavorful. I draw and I paint and I craft with no intention but the pleasure of the moment. But when it comes to my writing, for some reason, I raise the stakes. And I'm not cured of wanting to leave a mark. I didn't read one short book and suddenly become a person who creates purely for the love of it, with no thought of whether anyone ever sees it. I still want the impact. I still want the career. I still refresh the numbers, and that desire is real. And I'm not going to pretend that this book just poof, dissolved it. No, but what it gave me wasn't a cure, it was a breath. It was a pause in the middle of the hardest stretch of a hard draft when someone just tapped me on the shoulder and said, hey, if you're struggling, maybe your focus is on the wrong thing here. And I could breathe, even while still holding on to both. And maybe you also need to take the same kind of deep breath by picking up this little book. So I'm going back to my manuscript this week, and I still want it to matter. But I'm carrying one new thing with me, the idea that maybe the work is the gift, and the mark, if it comes, is just what's going to happen when you keep showing up and doing the work anyway, with all the love you have for it. So I'll leave you with the question I started with, the one I'm still answering and still puzzling over for myself. What does success mean to you? Is it something you're chasing out there, or is it something that you could give yourself right now? Let me know in the comments below, because I feel like I can learn a lot from your answers and we can learn from each other. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.